Hey there, hi there, everyone. So I'm changing up a little bit, and I am going to be doing um, timeless readings. So basically, this is for anyone who is watching. It doesn't matter what your sign is. This is a collective energy, and this is a timeless timeline that I'm working on, and it's probably going to be like an ongoing project for a while. So it's meant to just be watched whenever you are watching it and resonate with you however it resonates with you. All right, so the first card I have for you is After the Rain, Silver Lining, Relief, Hope, Mercy, It's Over, Acceptance. Okay. So after the rain, we all like look for a rainbow in the sky, right? Or maybe we're not even looking and then we see one and we're like, oh my gosh, there's a rainbow in the sky. Like, it's amazing. Holy shit. So, um, you are really like relieved that there's been a long journey where you have dedicated yourself to staying true to certain connections and honoring those connections or respecting the process of what is going on in those connections and really learning from them. It was a lot. It was a lot. I'm not going to lie. I see a lot of things, like psychic things, happening here with that. However, it's over now. Like, you don't need to worry about connections in that regard anymore. Okay. Um, you have healing the mother line, healing ancestral work, mother line, growing up. Okay. So I really feel like you have already grown up. Okay. You've already matured. Okay. You've already done all the healing, all the ancestral work that you are required to do so or have already been required to do so. Okay. Um, and what this has basically like allowed you to do now is just surrender to the universe and wait for the next phase, the next download of messages, the next chapter in your life. Okay. And we have the Hanged One. Okay. So, obviously, this woman, she has entered into the enlightenment stage in her life, in this phase now of her life. Okay, she surrendered to the universe, to spirit source, and she's opened herself up to now um, being like fully integrated into what is coming next. Okay, and we have mugwort, psychic healing. Okay. So, this again, the ancestral psychic messages or psychic gifts that you probably inherited from, you know, a, a woman in your bloodline. Okay. So, it could be a great great grandma, it could be great 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 grandma, great 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 aunt, great 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 cousin, whatever it is, there's someone there that had psychic healing abilities just as you do now. Okay, and you're really tapping into it. Okay, you can see here this woman, she has a white owl symbolizing wisdom. Okay, um, there is like almost like a mirror, but it's like reflecting a pool of light, spiraling pool of light. The moon phases. It's just overall divine feminine energy, and that's growing. That's as you grow, you begin to heal. Okay, and that's why you're getting this psychic healing mugwort. So pay attention to dreams, visions, synchronicities, signs that you find stand out to you, because that is definitely a sign that change is coming. Okay, it is happening. As with the falling leaves, embrace change. Okay, so I think some things might seem a little bit like out of place or a little bit chaotic. Um, and I think it's because you're working with a lot of energetic pulls and ties in many different directions. But the main goal is for you to stay your course and stay on your path and figure it out as you go. And because it's a new chapter, it's a new beginning. Okay. So I also have here friendship. We've got the mermaid friendship here. So there you go, mermaids friendship. All right. So it's always good to start forming friendships. New friendships are coming in for you. And then ready. Okay. So you have the girl sitting on the hill. Okay. She's ready. The wind, I feel like, is blowing through her hair. There are flowers here that, you know, symbolized growth and nature, and she's sitting very grounded on the earth here. So you are ready for this change. It's not like you're not ready. Okay, you're definitely ready. You're healing your psychic self. Okay, and we have commitment. Marriage promises fidelity. Okay, so a big thing with all of this has a lot to do with commitment. It has a lot to do with a marriage or a union between you and someone else. Okay, so um, like there's a lot of, we'll get into that. We'll break that down. But I feel like you're sort of like you're sort of learning and grasping the concept and the idea more of like what marriage actually is. Okay, it's not, I don't feel like it's just like a business contract where you just sign a piece of paper, boom, you're married. Obviously, there's a lot of feelings. Obviously, there's a lot of emotions. Obviously, there's a lot of thoughts and ideas and concepts that go into, you know, a marriage. Okay, and I feel like a lot of it can really best be explained through like a spiritual perspective, um, and also a psychological perspective. Okay, I'm not an expert or anything, but you know, I am married, so I think I know a little bit. Obviously, you know, I haven't been like married for like 20, 30 years, but I just feel like, you know, there are people who've never been married, and, you know, then there are people who have been married, and I just feel like you learn lessons through it because it's different for everybody. Everybody's experience is different and symbolizes and means something else for the other. So take what resonates here with that. But you're at like a crossroads right now. Direction. Like, which direction are you going? Okay. All right. So the commitment here and the crossroads here is part of your change. Okay. You know, I'm not saying like you're going to be like ending the marriage or anything like that, but I feel like you have to start looking at it like you had a previous conceptualized idea of what a marriage should be or what it did look like based off your own previous knowledge of relationships. Um, so yeah, this change, you know, you're trying to figure out which way to go. And I feel like what you're really telling yourself right now is that the pathway forward is you're ready for friendship, you're ready for commitment. Okay. Um, Before, I feel like you were very closed off to making new friends. I feel like you were very closed off to committing toward a relationship with, in regards to like love and soulmates and romance and that sort of thing, dating, because, and you opening your heart up to that because you were going through this um, change of psychic healing, okay, of surrendering to the universe and just accepting what had transpired or what has transpired, okay. um and you know, I think that's a little bit why we have the Six of Swords card here, because the Six of Swords, um for me, really represents that commitment toward yourself. And really no longer struggling with other people's outside opinions, but instead really rallying up your forces and your support system and your team that you can rely on. Because I think you were, and that's the friendship. Because I really feel like in the past you really didn't have that. Okay, so that brings us to the Page of Pentacles. Okay, the power of the page. So this is a much like gentler transition. Like you were really like facing some obstacles, and then the Page of Pentacle arrives. Okay, pointing you in the direction of, I feel like, your wealth and your like abundance and your prosperity. So really like financial money matters, but it's kind of like a new start, a fresh new start to it. Like you were struggling to maintain some financial control over a situation, and now it appears you have gained that control back. Okay. Nine of Swords. Okay, so you definitely were experiencing restless nights, sleepless nights, nightmares. And we have here the Magician. Okay, wow. Yeah, it's almost like the Magician takes these elements and sort of like you've got fire, air, earth, wind, and sort of makes something feasible for you, something you can actually hold on to and actually maintain, an energy that makes sense. Yeah, the Great Theater of Life. Wow. Yep, we've got the Great Theater of Life here. Okay. So, a lot of players, a lot of actors, like a lot of people playing a part here, right? In all of this drama, okay? There's been a lot of drama. But the Queen of Swords arrives and she just basically annihilates all of that from existence. She has had enough. And I really like how this woman here with the candlelight in the like corner here is just sort of like observing all of this drama. Okay, and look, more of that like fiery energy with like the red on red, the glowing orange and yellows. Like it's almost like you yourself are really finally seeing that you are the queen here. You are the Queen of Swords here. You have taken your passion and your fire and put it to use in a very no bullshit type of way. Okay, your say is the final say. Anyone who doesn't agree with that isn't going to be allowed into your life. Okay. Um, Yeah, and we have the King of Chalices here. Okay, so we have like a very corrupt man, a very controlling man who is trying to control this woman, keep her all to himself. He's very full of himself. He's very arrogant. He has a sense of entitlement. Okay, he's not very emotionally intelligent. Okay, that's like the ironic part about it. It's like you would think somebody with like a kingship, someone with great money and power and wealth would actually be able to put it to good use, right? Which we know, the world is full of corrupt people. So we know that is like the farthest thing from the truth. And then we have here open, say yes, expand through the extremes, trust life. Wow. Okay. So you are really opening yourself up here to this change, to going in this new direction. I feel like you're no longer committing to the stereotypical types you would go for, like the shallow, materialistic, wealthy types that constantly are like, well, I have a good job, I'm financially stable, so obviously I'm a good match. No, just because you are financially well off, doesn't mean you're a good match. You still have a lot of characteristics and personality traits that are very toxic. And, you are saying yes and expanding through the extremes, trusting life. You are very open to exploring new opportunities, new things, changes. Okay. Um, yeah, Five of Cups. Oh no, was coming up again. Word vomit from Mean Girls. Okay. Lindsay Lohan is throwing up on her crush, right? Because she drank too much. Okay. Five of Cups. Okay. Somebody left you, like, it was a lot of word vomit. It was a lot of like just saying things to like impress someone. Okay. You don't need to impress anyone. Okay. You don't need to prove your worth or your value to anyone. Okay. Um, because look at this. We've got moonflower. Bloom even if no one is watching. Okay. So you don't need someone to be watching you, um, you know, chasing after you, all of that. You don't need that energy in order for you to feel good about yourself. Okay. You are the beautiful lotus flower that has, bloomed and grown and pushed through the mud and the muck and just become this beautiful divine goddess that you are. Okay. So knowing that you are the prize, knowing that you're the one with the value, you're the one that is to be won here. Okay. Um, it's really reassuring for you to be more open with yourself and trust in life. Okay. And then we have here Sarada Devi, the Divine Mother. Unconditional love exists within me. The presence of love is the absence of judgment. Okay? So there's no judgment here. You don't judge yourself because you kept falling for the same types when you were told that's what to look for. Okay, maybe you did have a mother that was like, oh, make sure you marry rich, or make sure you start having children when you're young, or whatever. That is some kind of like misconstrued conception of what you want it for your life or what you intend it for your life. But, mothers have a very strong pull and connection, and even it's been said have a psychic connection with their children when they're like very young and they're still like babies. And I think the psychic connection starts like separating around like 5 or 6 years old or something like that. But it doesn't mean that you can't still be in tune with your mother. It can't be, and if you don't have a mom, then it's more of an energy force. It's more of an energy field, a force field, if you will, of light and protection around you, that you feel loved and supported and nurtured. I myself feel that energy. I don't like necessarily feel like a psychic connection, you know, with my own mom, but I do feel like, the work going into feeling loved and supported and nurtured and trusting in other women is something that can really open your eyes up and your heart up to seeing that it's okay to love ourselves. It's okay to nurture ourselves. It's perfectly natural. Okay. And there's no judgment here too, because some of you might have had like a very judgmental mother who was always judging your choices, always being very criticizing and critical. So that could have played into what you have been experiencing. Okay. But when love enters into it, okay, which is this very strong thing that you're kind of like looking at commitment toward soulmate connections and finding a romantic partner and dating and getting married and finding a person to be intimate with. That, I think, it stems from also a connection with your mother. So who might have not showed you like unconditional love or something like that. Like there might have been a lot of conditions, okay? But you're healing all of that. You're healing like they call it like the witch wound, okay? Which is like your mother's going all the way back, like could have very easily been, you know, been accused of being witches and could have endured torture and burning and being thrown out, being an outcast, or not being allowed in certain social settings because they didn't come from wealth or money. These are all their social class, right? These are all things, and also mental illness wasn't really understood back then. So maybe you come from a line of women in your family that have suffered from mental illness that was never properly supported or taken care of by their husbands, right? Or their fathers. So now they suffer as a result of it. Like there's all these interconnections, things happening here. The thing is, the best thing to do here is like cut through all the BS and go straight to source, straight to the divine mother, okay? Straight to who you are and how you love yourself and how you take care of yourself and how you make sure you're okay at the end of the day, because that is really you mothering yourself, nurturing your inner child. And through that, you can grow and learn into new experiences. Okay, so we have here flourish. Yes, beautiful fairy magic, flourish. And she has a lotus flower. The lotus flower fairy tells you to learn from experience and shed your inner light on any unclear areas of your life or those of others. And that's what you're doing. You're shining a light. And this queen sitting in the dark here in the corner here, she has her candle and the light is shining on her. Okay? You are the light in your life, okay? And your inner light, okay? You're shining it on all these unclear areas of your life or those of others. You're really, your perception, your perspective here is really like spot on, okay? You have an understanding of what is happening and you are ready to move forward, okay? Because you don't need to try to fix everything. You know, that's another thing about moms. You know, we try to fix everything. I'm a mom. We're always fixing everything. We're always cleaning up after everything. We're always making everything look better, be better. Okay, but it gets very exhausting very quickly because it's always constantly happening. There's no really like break. So you have to remember to take a break for yourself and shine a light on the things that you need, okay? And know that by doing that, you are loving yourself, okay? Yes, we have the prayer here. So maybe you grew up with like very spiritual or religious practices, or parents who pray over everything, pray for sicknesses, pray for situations and challenges to resolve themselves and the answers to come in time, pray over meals, things like that. So you know, praying is kind of a superstitious practice, if you ask me, because you're praying that things work out, things don't get worse, or things get better, or things stay the same. So you are it sort of is like a manifesting type of ritual. And you're asking who you believe in, your higher power, your higher source, God, spirit, you know, whoever it is that you pray to show you the way, to point you in the right direction. Okay, so I feel like your mother might have played a huge role in like praying over everything or praying about everything. And you know, I'm not much of a prayer. I believe in just doing, okay? And praying is sort of a stop, pause, and then take the next step, you know? So it's interesting, but it's something, right? So then we have here, trust your path. If you knew you would be supported, what would you do? Okay? This is all about feeling supported on your spiritual path. Okay? In the past, you definitely were not feeling supported. You were feeling very alone, very isolated. There, you couldn't call anyone. There was no one to help or guide you. And I feel like that's all coming to an end. And then you have the Knight of Swords, okay? So a masculine energy that is charging forward, almost like a crusader that's supporting you on the path with you. So if you are looking to date someone or be in connection with someone, this is what you want. You want a divine masculine energy, someone who is in tune with you. So Queen of Swords, Knight of Swords, okay? So it's, the knight isn't like the King of Swords. It's not really grasping everything that you're putting out there, but it's grasping some things, right? Some is better than none, okay? So I'm not saying settle, right? But I am saying like you can work with this energy. This energy doesn't have to be exactly everything you hoped and dreamed it would be, but it is the start of something, I feel like. Okay. Um, um, okay, so we have uh Imrama. I hope I'm saying that right. Where are you being called to journey to? Okay. So you're on the right path and now you're being asked, where are you being called to journey to? So I really feel like this ties back into that like commitment, and if you feel very secure and very confident in yourself, then you're ready to put yourself out there and meet someone new or date or explore a connection or whatever it is that you are, choosing that resonates with you specifically. But this is definitely has to do with like a love energy, okay, coming in. And it says here, I know I was wrong by not talking to you. Would you be open to talking now? Okay. So I feel like for you, that means that there was someone who you probably didn't want to discuss things with for a little while, because I think you were dealing with a lot. You were dealing with yourself. You were taking care of yourself. You had a lot that you needed to go through and transform and complete on your own. Okay, because I feel like there are two paths in life. Well, there's a lot of paths in life, but to break it down into like a very simplest path energy, you are born and you start your path. You start your life path. Later on, you meet someone and you want to travel alongside of them. They're on their path too. They were born, they're traveling their path. Okay. But as you're traveling on your paths, you meet each other, okay, while you're traveling. And you want to travel together for some time and see how it goes. Okay. If it's not working, you go off on your path. They go off on their path. Sometimes it's mutual. Most of the time it's not, from my experience. But there you go. Okay. So, that being said, though, I feel like you had to go off on your own for a little bit and find more about you, like find out more about yourself, what you're capable of, or what you want to do, or who you are, who you've become. And now you want to talk to them again. Okay. Now there's the other side to this where they cut off communication with you and now they want to talk to you again. So it really depends on who cut off communication first, but I'll let you figure that out. So we have here Electra, the Amber Star, let go. I surrender and allow myself to grieve. And we started off with the Hanged One, which is surrender to the universe. So it is now time for you to grieve. So if you've lost someone or this is an old version of you, it doesn't mean you have to have literally lost someone. You could have just lost yourself or had to separate from your old self, shed that old skin, transform into a new, and you're still, that old version of you was very familiar and you had grown comfortable, but I also feel like you had grown compliant with it, where you knew it wasn't right or didn't feel right anymore, but you just did it anyway because that's what you needed to do, to just be. Okay. But now you've learned that you don't need to just be that anymore. You can be someone new and be someone you feel is more empowered. You are practicing more self love again, self care again. You're really fully in tune with yourself again. So that is, it's okay to miss that version of ourselves. It's okay, like a birthday. Oh, we're a year older, great. Like, no, you can still feel young and celebrate this new age, this new year, this new you, and still be able to grieve the past, because the past for you was a very familiar place. It was a very safe place, and now you're entering into a new, more scarier place. Okay, so give yourself that time and space to go through that process. Okay, and then we have here good fortune. Okay, invite magic in. All right. So you're definitely going to be doing this. You're going to be inviting magic into your life with abundance and growth and love and hope and light along the way, along your path. It's going to be a beautiful one. There's a lot of beautiful energy happening here. There's butterflies, which are all about transformation. There's the rainbow colors all up on the stairs. Beautiful flowers blossoming, a castle in the sky in the background. So, your fortune, your abundance, all the magic that resides within you that you are capable of creating and making, it is happening for you. Okay. So thank you so much for watching. Love and light always. Keep being your beautiful, inspired, creative selves. And please don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Hit the notification bell so every time I make a new video, you are alerted and you can watch it. And don't forget to hit the like button. Thanks for watching. Bye.